I really want to talk about Arc Raiders, and I know everybody's been talking about Arc Raiders. The game looks amazing, the game performs amazing, the game is extremely fun to play, and while I believe all of those things to be true, I still cannot get over just how good this game sounds. Something that I feel like is really overlooked, especially nowadays, is just how important sound design is for the immersion of a video game. I feel like most people look at new games and judge it off how the game looks, how the gameplay looks, and of course, those things are extremely important, especially the gameplay side of things. Plus, Arc Raiders happens to do both of those extremely well. For me, though, the sound design can absolutely make or completely break a video game. Now, sound design being as important as it is to me is really no surprise, because one of my most played games, at least in the last couple of years, was Hunt Showdown. Not only have I put many hours into Hunt, it's also the first extraction shooter I had ever played, outside of like the Division with the Dark Zone, if we count that. Now, Hunt Showdown has many flaws, but in spite of all that, I still stand by to this day that it has some of, if not the best sound design of any game I have ever played. Now, while the obvious similarities between both games is that they are extraction shooters, it actually goes a lot deeper than that, particularly with how each game handles sound design. In Hunt Showdown, sound is essentially another set of eyes for you that you can leverage to give you information you otherwise would not have. Maybe you hear the noise of someone looting a dead hunter or reviving a teammate, or knowing the difference between a headshot sound or a normal hit marker. Sound plays a massive part in making Hunt Showdown special, and I can safely say it has absolutely spoiled me when it comes to playing other games, because not every game cares enough to make sure the sound is as accurate as it is in Hunt. Now, of course, Hunt Showdown isn't the only game to do this, nor is it perfect by any means. It's just the one that I've played the most, so it's the one I feel comfortable talking about. Now, on the flip side, Arc Raider sound design is integral to its gameplay as well. Everything you or other players do make a distinct sound. Even the Arc themselves give off different sound cues depending on their current state. Now, what this does gameplay wise is twofold. Number one, it makes you much more aware of sound cues in the environment. Knowing the sound that looting this container makes compared to, say, this container becomes that much more important. Since everything makes a unique sound, listening and identifying what that sound is, and further to that, where/who it came from, can be the difference of extracting safely or dying in raid. But second to that, as expected, this works both ways. The sounds made by your teammates or by yourself come with the same consequences. This causes you to become very intentional with your actions, since everything has the potential to give your position away. Fixing a broken shield near hostile raiders may alert them to the fact that you're weak and healing up. Or say, looting a locker may allow nearby raiders to better pinpoint your current location. While alerting the enemy raiders is always a threat, perhaps the more pressing issue is the Arc. Now, the technology behind the Arc is a topic for a whole other video that I may potentially make, and it's really crazy. But staying on topic, not only do the Arc spot you visually, they are also affected by the sounds you make. So running or shooting a weapon too close to an Arc will alert them to your position, causing them to seek you out. While for smaller enemies like wasps or ticks, this isn't really much of an issue. For the more dangerous enemies like rocketeers, you might as well start preparing for your next raid. As you can imagine, the Arc themselves also make unique, albeit sometimes terrifying, sounds that once again can be used to your advantage. As alluded to earlier, most of these sounds are associated with each Arc's current state. You have the idle or the patrolling state, where they are set roaming in a designated area. Then you have what I'll call the investigation state. This occurs if an Arc either spots a raider or perhaps hears a sound made, as I had said before. This can be anything from car alarms to gunshots to raiders running to rubber ducks being thrown. Any sounds in the Arc's radius it will detect and begin to investigate said disturbance. Now, when investigating, raiding, two things can happen. Either they'll return to their patrolling state if they don't find what is making the sound, or the second, where they progress to the next state, which is attack. As the name implies, in this state, the Ark will aggressively seek out whichever raider it has spotted until they kill them, the Ark is destroyed, or if the raider somehow manages to hide for long enough that the Ark will just leave them alone. As you've been hearing, each one of these states has a unique sound associated with them, alongside a corresponding color, blue, yellow, and red respectively. As you can expect, each Ark also has different sounds and behaviors to each other. The snitch, as the name implies, doesn't even attack you, it just makes a really loud sound when it spots you, potentially alerting other players and at the same time calling in Ark reinforcements. Every enemy is unique in this way, allowing you to gain information without ever even seeing what's unfolding. And that's where I think the real beauty of Ark Raiders comes in. It tells you everything you need to know without actually showing you anything, at least most of the time. While Ark Raiders is not the only game to have systems like this in place, it's executed so exceptionally well that it truly makes you feel immersed within the world. Even when it comes to dealing damage to other players or even the Ark, Embark has made the unique decision of having no hit markers. What this means is you need to rely on in-world cues to figure out if you hit an enemy or not. Raider shields taking damage or fully breaking plays a sound to indicate such a thing occurred, alongside a visual effect on the player being struck. The same is true for when hitting an enemy's flesh. That makes a much more impactful or quote-unquote meaty sound in comparison to a shield, as well as giving off puffs of red blood. Even a game like Hunt Showdown that leans so heavily on its sound design, even that has hit markers. The decision from Embark to remove them, in my opinion, was a home run, and interestingly enough, we now know this wasn't always the case. Early builds of the game used to have health bars, hit markers, and even damage numbers. In an interview at TwitchCon with RDIRL, Nora Sillo, who is the tech designer on Ark Raiders, explained that having all these things present in the game meant that players weren't looking at enemies or other players or taking in environments. They would only be looking to health bars or damage numbers for information rather than having to discern it for themselves. Let me just say, thank God they went the route they did, because if this had hit markers, damage numbers, health bars slapped on top of it, it would seriously harm just how immersive this game feels currently. Now, something I've neglected to talk about this entire time, even though you've been hearing it all along, is the guns. Ark Raiders has a spread of weapons to choose from that use different ammo types that fall under different categories. You have light, medium, heavy, shotgun, energy, and also launcher ammo. And to nobody's surprise, all these weapons also sound great, whether it be the light, tingy sounds from the Citra SMG or deep, thunderous reverbs from a shotgun, or the heavy, weighty sounds from a Pharaoh or an anvil. Every weapon sounds unique and looks unique as well, with a very makeshift thrown together aesthetic throughout, to almost alien in some other cases. Weapons as well as footsteps also respond very well depending on your environment. Inside buildings, footsteps will echo when you're running through the hallways, and gunshots will boom through the corridors. And let me just say, it gets loud, like very loud. Fighting in these tight spaces also flex how good the directional audio is in Ark Raiders as well. Footsteps are very distinguishable as to whether an enemy is above, below, or on the same level as you. Same goes for gunshots and other noises made within the environment. The directional audio in this is top tier, which is obviously great with a game like this when you have so much on the line in a given match. Also, on the topic of things being loud, extractions are extremely loud. These blare sirens and buzzers alongside a PA announcer when activated. Extractions are yet another example of Embark using the world to give players information without needing to just spell everything out for you. You can hear one of these going off from quite a ways away, and they are more than likely to draw the attention of some players or, once again, the Ark. And on the topic of enemy players, Ark Raiders does have proximity chat, which in and of itself actually sounds like really good. You even have like an in-game voice changer thing. Like, I don't know how it works, but like I said, it surprisingly sounds extremely good.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, 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 if you're hearing this.
Your voice will even change depending on where it is you're talking, which is super cool. Inside, your voice will echo and even be muffled by like walls or floors or anything in between you and whoever's hearing you. Perhaps even cooler is the emote wheel. Like, seriously, if for whatever reason you don't feel like talking to other players, this allows you to communicate in-game and your character actually speaks. You can even change how loud your character says each line, which is a really nice touch.
Appreciated. Thanks, Raider.
Of course, Arc Raiders has a ping system, but say you're solo, or maybe you want to talk to the opposing team. This allows you to do so without even needing a mic, which is super cool. While using proximity chat is certainly the easiest and best way to communicate, don't underestimate just how strong this emote wheel is. Like, seriously, there have been so many times I've been playing with friends where enemies will, spam don't shoot or want to team up, and we just immediately will be like, all right, let's chill, let's talk to them, and let's just go on our way. Especially in solo, I've heard that solo players are pretty chill for the most part. I wouldn't say this is the rule, more so the exception, just so keep that in mind. Lastly, before I wrap up this video, I really just want to talk a bit more about like the weather in Arc Raiders. Back in the server slam and currently at launch, the only real weather event we've gotten to see is the electromagnetic storm, and holy shit, this looks and sounds phenomenal. We know in the near future, I believe in November or December, based on the roadmap, we're going to be getting a snow weather event that I would assume would take place in the Blue Gate map, and I cannot wait to see how this game handles effects like snow and the way it's going to affect how enemies play or even how the Arc react. It's little things like these that get me really excited for the future of this game. I can only imagine how different weather effects are going to change gameplay. In Hunt Showdown, for example, it had something called the Inferno, which was essentially like a giant forest fire that covered majority of the map. This changed up how you played so much because all of a sudden sightlines that you were used to were completely different. Not to mention, if you were fighting near the fire, all that sound that you would usually rely on was completely drowned out by the flames. So I can only imagine how good it's going to be in Arc Raiders, and I cannot wait to see what Embark is planning, because if it's anything like what we've seen already, I cannot wait. Arc Raiders is a game that visually looks stunning. Alongside that, it's an Unreal Engine 5 game in the year 2025 that doesn't perform like utter dog shit. Looking at you, Randy. Even with all those things going for it, the immersion in this game is what truly makes it special. To me at least. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a while to make because I didn't really know what I wanted to talk about. I started wanting to just kind of talk about Arc Raiders in general. TLDR, this video was a mess to make, even if it doesn't seem like it. And yeah, I hope to upload more videos like this in the future on Arc Raiders, on pretty much any other game that I think are cool. That's kind of my idea for this channel. Upload videos about things I think are cool, and we'll go from there and we'll see how it goes. So if you enjoyed it, like I said, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.